Good day, everyone. Doing a little out of the blue surprise stream. As you can see, we're in media res here. Decided to take a small break from a spinal. Got your friend requests. We got that taken care of on both accounts. How'd your starter rolls go? Who'd you end up with? But as you can see, we're in media res here. I decided to take a small break from grinding the event, or cleaning up the event rather. And we recently got Kukulane to his final ascension, which unlocked the ability to do his strengthening and upgrade his MP. And I figured might as well. And in doing so, we're also going to get some Saint Courts as well. And I thought, well, the Banana Lancer ban is up, and when it comes down to it, I really like MHXX, but she will come back on a better banner, because I at least like the 5-star unit, even if the unit that's with her there in case of that kind of shenanigans. So I thought, and it's always good to get a really stout damage dealing single target Lancer. Lancers are a really good class for damage because they have an inherent how to explain this? So say you go to the wiki and you pull up and you go to the section on classes and you click on a class. Well, the first little bit of info they will give you, well, that isn't just flavor text, is what the base damage multiplier is. And Lancers is 1.05 times, which means they do a bit extra damage than one might expect when looking at their attack rating just at neutral, let alone double for when they're advantaged. And they're one of the classes with the highest base damage multiplier. You may notice assassins being rather weak even against riders, and that's because theirs is 0.9 times multiplier. Berserkers have a 1.1 times, as do Rulers and Avengers. So yeah, Lancer is only second to Berserkers when it comes to base damage multiplier. So they're just a solid class all around. That, and the class is just lousy with just really quality units, both AoE and single target. Just chock-a-block full of amazing servants. Such as Kukulane here. So I felt it'd be pretty appropriate to use him in his own strengthening. But long story short, I decided to maybe try to roll some more, see if we can't get scare up another copy of Banana Lancer. And on the off chance the 5-star happened to come along, which is extremely unlikely. which often will at least be a good AoE archer, can be quite handy. So this particular strengthening is luckily not one of the earlier ones where they just have like 5 or 6 bloody fights that are all very samey against trash mobs. But those are a bit those are no fun to go through. But luckily his is just 3 nodes. Of course this one's against trash mobs, but what are you gonna do? We might as well go damage here. Also, Spinal, don't forget to do your best to log in once a day, even if you're not able to, not in the mood to actually play. Because the sooner you start getting that login bonus rolling in, the better. I should probably do this, just for safety. Well, Heracles here. Why don't I have some sort of support? This is what we call not paying attention when you're slapping a party together. Oops. That's why we're not getting our bloody MPs, they keep giving us MP gain down. As you can see, they finally used up his evade stacks, but now he gets it back next turn. He would already have it back if I had it at rank 10, but bloody feathers. Well, bloody feathers, and even worse, hero brutes. Good. Oh, mercy. You need so many of them. Probably damage-wise, basically this. Yeah, it's at first you can definitely. It's easy to forget. Nice cleanse and heal if he was damaged at all, but he wasn't. But remove the debuffs. That's lovely. I don't think Heracles is much longer for this world. It's okay, mate. You'll get your Bond C eventually. Maybe. Oh, right. I should probably use her MP on the second wave for these because I'm pretty sure all 3 fights are like 2 waves of mobs and then a boss of some sort. So that's fine. Incidentally, I got my aerial drive on up to level 100, so that's nice. Alright, I have this gratis, Mystic Card on 11. Ah, he's an interesting one. He's very niche, but he provides something that is extremely difficult to come by, even with gold units. Let's see. With the buff block he gives on his, I think it's his third skill. Yeah, that he can actually really save you bacon in tough boss fights where they like to spam buffs on themselves, because he can completely muck them over. And the buff blocks, the buff block lasts until they actually attempt to buff. He has an upgraded MP as well, so in a pinch he can be your little DPS caster for at least a little bit. But for the most part, it's that third skill which is what's useful for him. Are you doing your starting rolls or like? Ah, the Berserker, I think. Because, wait, hold on. Vlad. I always get Vlad and Vlad Extra mixed up. Yeah, so this is the Berserker. Berserker or Lancer? Berserker, okay, so the 5-star one. Well, he... I actually don't know a great deal about him. I know he was... I've seen people like say he was in bad shape for a while, but I'm pretty sure he recently got a pretty big buff in JP, so that'll be a while away. Or, yeah, they've had to strengthen his NP twice, as opposed to just once. They've had to strengthen it twice. That's pretty hilarious. He's single target Arch Berserker. Ah, there's the Henry Jekyll's a man of prison for you. So you got you a 5-star. Wait, why can you get 5 stars in your starting rolls? Or are these not your starting rolls? Jekyll and Hyde are very unfortunate because like they could have had an interesting concept, but they functionally don't have a noble phantasm, because all it does is switch from Jekyll to Hyde and turn him from an assassin to a berserker, and he gets like big bonus buster damage. I think it's buster damage. However, the skills, all he has going for him is his skills, and he can't switch back to Hyde and back to Jekyll and then back to Hyde for like heals and stuff either. So they would have to fix him. They'd probably have to rework him from the ground up. I don't think throwing in even a couple of 3 buffs would fix him. Well, maybe an MP upgrade to completely change and let them swap back and forth for like a heal. But I don't know. It's a bit sketch. Alright, I should probably finally MP this. The way to view the servers. Yeah, just you go over. I've showed it. Yeah, I'll show you again. So you go to menu and just go to formation, go to spirit origin list, and then all of your servants will be there. And you can like click on them directly or tap on them if you're actually using a phone. And then you can check out their skills, their passive abilities, their noble phantasm, switch icons and stuff if you've ascended them. You can even see if they have a rank up quest or interlude. You can check their profile, listen to their voice lines, all kinds of snazzy stuff. Or that's also where you check your craft essences and your command cards as well. Darius is a good AoE berserker. Well, oh, you got Martha. So she's your starting 4-star. Oh, that's a really good one. She's really good. She has a lot of strengthens and upgrades. Saint Martha. I really like Martha. I had her on one of the unfortunately lost alts that I'd made before. I had her and Ruler Martha. Oh! Hey, that's really good. Helena's help you a lot in Camelot. Of course, now it's ultimately up to you if you just really like her. And she is good. The only issue is she has to be fighting males to get full value. And it really helps if her charm actually works. But the issue is, as you get later in the game, for one, you may not always be fighting male enemies, but more and more of the bosses start getting mental debuff immunity or resistances. Is it back? So, and unfortunately, if she's not fighting a male, her damage is pretty lackluster. Okay. Basically, now that being said, she's arts, and she's got her an MP battery, which can be pretty handy. That also can drain an enemy's charge, which can be helpful. Charm, when it does work, is nice, and she gives herself a decent arts up to 3 turns. And she does have an upgraded MP, so it's not like she's complete wet noodle, even against the ladies. So she's definitely workable if you put some love into her. And since she's arts, there will be plenty of free arts support that you can throw at her. I don't think I have Paracelsus here, I'd show him as well. But then there's also Hans, which is an overall support. He can support all 3 card types because he just provides basic attack up, defense up, and crit stars and crit damage, as well as a bit of MP battery. So yeah, however, if she's not to your fancy, definitely keep an eye out for Robin. He's the king of 1 to 3 star single target archers. He gets so much bonus damage if he poisons the enemy. It's actually insane. However, a very solid second to him is, wait, I not have. I guess I don't have him. Is Billy the Kid, who is a quick single target archer that also has an upgraded in what that actually has an upgraded MP, so he just out of the box does really good MP damage without worrying about having to keep poison on them, which isn't that difficult to be fair. And Billy also has, if it's at rank 10, a 50% MP battery for himself. Hozoran is... Now, contrary to what you might read online, because people got strangely obsessed with him, mostly because some whales made YouTube videos where they used all the god supports in the game and just stacked a billion buffs on him, and then he just, lit enemies up. When bloody, you could do that on Hans and he would light enemies up. But it tricked people into thinking he's a lot better than he is. So yeah, when it comes to lancers, single target lancers at least, well, Ku's king, obviously. I mean, he outshines most gold units, honestly. Especially if you throw some grails on him to get his attack stat up to par. Now, this one isn't level 70, so his attack is a wee bit lower than it normally will be. But yeah, so Kukulane's king. Proto Ku is weaker than regular Ku, mainly because he doesn't have an MP upgrade, unfortunately. However, he still has protection from arrows, so he's still quite sticky. He's not as sticky as regular Ku is because he doesn't have the guts and the heal and cleanse. However, he's a solid backup. And then Tiger's actually quite good, but she's story locked, so it's not very unlikely that you'll get her before getting the others. So yeah, it's basically really hope for Ku. Hozoan is he's basically a big soloer is what he does, but Ku outdoes him, frankly, easily. Yeah, there's no reason to hold on to them. Just go ahead and, especially early on, you want all the rolls you can possibly get, so you can hopefully get some 3 stars from it. Now, fair warning, when it comes to rolling friend points, the rate of getting 3-star units is the same as when you roll FP for 5-star units. So you're unlikely to get them very often, but you can get them. Really premier 3 stars to watch out for is regular Ku. And then Ushi Wakamaru. She's an outstanding unit as well. She has an upgraded MP, she's got an upgraded fair skill, and she gets an upgraded second skill eventually. Okay, Lubu is he's basically your assassin killer. He's your single target caster damage dealer, basically. So he's very solid if you like him. He'll he'll do fine for you until. Well, you have Vlad actually, so Vlad's single target, so you might just worry about Vlad to begin with. But let it be known, Lubu is a very good option to cover a lot of the. Matahari is an interesting one. She's not one that you'd want to level early, but after your account got a little more stable, because she actually provides. She's a support. She works for anyone, but her support is by super debuffing the enemy's defense. So she provides a big damage buff to your party by just how much she lowers the enemy's defense. However, it's a bit difficult because a lot of it requires her using her MP, and early on you're not going to have a lot of ways to get her MP very quickly. Yeah, she ends up between her second skill and her NP. She reduces their defense by a total of 20%. At base, if she's got any overcharge, then add 5% for each level of overcharge, yes. Okay, Arash. AoE, he's a good farm unit for you. He blows himself up with his MP to do very massive AoE damage. So he's definitely one you can think about leveling. I would though get some more sustaining archers like Robin or Uriel or Billy the Kid before worrying about him though. Sort of similar to like Matahari. You want units that'll stick a bit more. And Mozart is an outstanding support that a lot of people overlook. So his fair skill is a one-turn team-wide arts up that at max rank is 44%, I think, which is pretty massive. And then his third skill is insane because it generates 50 crit stars, which basically means every single. Well, it doesn't. It means every single attack you use, every single face card you use, are guaranteed crits. So he has a guaranteed crit turn and a massive arts up turn that he can provide. It's outstanding, and that crit turn means that he can support even non-arts teams. So he's definitely one you'll want to level. Now, I will give you fair warning, leveling casters is going to be a struggle because they all fight over the same mats. You really want Hans, and you really want Mozart, and then you want a nice solid bust to support like Qingong or Shakespeare. William Tell, the issue with him is Robin exists as a single target arts archer that's also 3 stars and non-limited, and just destroys him in every way. So that's the issue with Tell. I actually keep forgetting. Well, he is recent in global, to be fair, but yeah. Also, this bloke, David. You definitely want to raise him if you get him. Or when you get him, because you will get a copy of him. Guaranteed. I assure you that. As you go through early story. Which he's a very good support that also provides some solid damage because he actually has quite high attack. I think he's got the highest attack of all 3-star archers. And eventually he will get an upgraded MP, so he actually starts doing really nice damage. But yeah, as you can see, I'm focusing him and Robin, even though Uriel keeps spooking me. And I already have an MP full. And for Assassin, you sort of similar to Ku with Lancer. The cream of the crop there is Asuko, or 100 Faces. So hopefully you have better luck than I do, than I've had in getting her. Here, I will link you to her page. She's a really, really strong unit. She's single target arts, and she has a turn of hard survival with a very low cooldown evade. She gives herself a nice arts up. Wait a minute. Speaking of David, just what do I want to give him? This is one. She gives herself, well, she's got at rank 10, she has an 80% chance for each of the card types to get a solid buff for 3 turns each. So 1 turn evade. She's got an MP gen rate up that's also a crit star gen up on her first skill, which really helps her gain and helps her crits out. And then her third skill is a very high 4k HP heal that removes her own buffs, which is one of the reasons why people are bad to overlook her, because they're like, oh no, she gets rid of her own buffs. What do we do? But here's the thing, the way the timing works out, because generally by the time you use that skill to heal her, the buffs will have worn off anyway. It works out like that most of the time, honestly. And the cooldowns are all low, so you have a lot to work with. Plus your Mystic Ode can help. She just loops her MP basically really easily. Does crits, lowers the enemy's arts resistance, which makes your entire team do more arts damage to her. Oh, bugger, right. And then she just keeps looping and doing progressively more and more damage as the enemy gets weaker and weaker in arts. She's really strong, and she scales sort of like Ku and Ushi. She scales really well off Grails, so if you really take a shine to her and you want to throw some Holy Grails on her to buff up her level cap, they will not go amiss. For example, here's how big an impact Grails can have. Ushi, little 3-star Ushi. Reminder that when it comes to team calls, 3 stars count. Like 5 stars are a lot more expensive to have in your party. Well, except for support, because support's free. And then 3-star units. So when you can grail a 3-star unit, and they basically match or even exceed the performance of competing similar 5-star units, that's pretty impressive. And Ku, Ushi, and Asuko all fit those. They all do that. For example, Maid Altar has a very hard-hitting single-target MP, even unupgraded just because of how big her self-buffs are. But Ushi, even not grailed, will come very close to her in damage, just because she has an upgraded MP and will be MP 5. And then if you grail her, she beats her. Unless you'd have to get even MP2 Maid Altar, it's still bloody close. Purely talking their own buffs. There are little calculators you can find online to look this stuff up if you want to. You'd be interested in what you can find. And now we're going to do this. Maybe a mistake. We'll gen some stars. Just there probably won't be many stars though. Help a bit, maybe. Oh, it's Kid Girl. What is... David, why? David, please. Not a crit to be found. I don't know what I expected. Oh, bugger. You buy. Incidentally, even though David's MP is not upgraded at the moment, so the damage is going to be quite full. He does have a high chance of inflicting skill seal, which is a very handy thing to slap on your enemy. Just how high was that defense up? Mercy. Still hasn't scratched him. Just coup things. Guess I'll do this. I actually forget those little buggers MP is AoE or not. I think it is. Kid Girls. Not a particularly good unit, unfortunately. That's MP1 unupgraded, by the way. And it already does that much damage. His MP is actually insane. Like, if he's not grailed, his normal cards are not something to really write home about. But even that gets a lot better if you start grailing it. The key is, like, well, his MP is very bursty, but his Actually, let's show off. What am I doing? How am I missing? If he was a snake, he would have bit me. Oh dear, what was I saying? So yeah, his MP is very bursty, especially when he gets upgraded and when you actually get more copies out of the bugger. But and that's even pre-ground. Let's go and get the crits rolling in. Here's another one, Hans. You want him at high MP levels because it raises the chance of his buffs actually proccing. Unfortunately, I only have one copy of the lad because my luck has been rather poor, to say the least. Well, some of the buffs hit at least. Some. Oh, that's no good. Yeah, I'm just going to clear the debuffs. Okay, good. We got the crit. This is... Alright, we'll do this. We know we can kill that one. Easy as. So might as well. A Rish with the crits. Could you just not? That'd be great. I wonder how much damage Hans can actually do to this thing. With the crit. Yeah. Don't expect Hans to be putting out that much damage. This is the third fight. I've been looking so much stuff up and yapping so much I've completely lost all semblance of a train of thought. You just took a crit and survived. I'm proud of you. That never happens. Okay. Just in case. I don't think there's any real risk of Ku getting got here, but never can tell. Something weird might happen, like triple crits. We really needed those archer monuments, so those are good to get. I think we got 2, and I think that's exactly what we needed to get Robin fully ascended. So all 3 of the effects got buffed. And the damage. That's a pretty good rank up. Robin has an interlude, but yeah, the only reward is 1 Saint course, which won't get us an extra roll, so we'll hold off on it for the moment. I've already lagged the stream out a little longer than I intended anyway, with my yapping. Alright, I was going to check. Yeah, the 2 monuments we got were exactly what we needed, unfortunately. Now, getting 2 of each of these isn't the worst thing in the world. We can do that. It's just when you turn around and look at what he needs, where it becomes very sad. Oh, hello. Welcome. Hope you enjoy. The assault is about to begin, unfortunately. I'm certainly not rolling on this one. Okay, let's see if we can't get some more banana. Yes, this is a new account. I started it. I think that's our 3rd copy of that. I started it when the global anniversary started, so a couple weeks ago at this point. I think it was a couple weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, something like that. Just so I could stream playing through the story for newer players, in case they'd be interested in that. Oh, there's a mana prism. Okay. Recharge the game again. Huh? Spinal, if you're still watching, Caesar is actually a very solid single target saber. I personally quite dislike him, so I never raise him, but he can do you a lot of good. When it comes to 3-star single target sabers, I just wait for Bedivere and Camelot. So losing. So we're now to Marvel. That one always trolled me early on because I kept getting it. I initially would get it mixed up with Battle of Camlin, which is an actual good 3-star craft essence that you definitely want to hold on to. That one though, not so much. An archer, or is it another copy of Robin? Ah. So, Torta is... Torta's an AoE archer. He can be solid for you. I've actually, unfortunately, not fiddled with him any on my main, so I don't have a lot of information about him. But as far as I know, he's quite solid. I'm pretty sure he's AoE. I may be mistaken. Hold on, Torta. Yeah, he's AoE Buster. He does have an upgraded MP, so his damage will be okay. Why not play FGRJP? Honestly, just because I've been too lazy, because for the emulator you have to download that, or what's it called? It starts with a Q. You have to download a second app to then be allowed to download the JP version of the game. And basically laziness, that's why. My first alt account I ever started was actually on JP. I really liked that account too, but unfortunately some fuzzy stuff ended up happening and I ended up losing the account. Which was made me very sad. I had Wave on there, I had Musashi. Yeah, they have more quality of life upgrades than we do over in Global to this point, but let's see. I had Musashi, I had Waver, I had Achilles spooked me randomly, so I had Achilles. I had Voyager randomly. And I had MP to summon Nobu, and Nobu is tied with Okida as like my second favorite service in the entire game, so that was really nice, but it wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. I got Voyager. I was rolling for the Dino Mommy, as everyone calls her. Nice Buster Berserker. Interesting kit. But I think I got one copy of her, but I got Voyager before. It was weird. One thing you'll learn about this game is, in the long run, is it's actually not that special getting the 5 stars. It's the 4-star rate up that'll really bite you in the rear. It's Torta again. Because with the 5-star rate up, it's okay, so you got the 1% chance to get a 5-star. And then once that 1% procs and it's going to be a 5-star, it's an 80% chance to be the rate up. So that's how the 5-star rate up works. 4-star rate up's a lot closer to a coin flip, unfortunately. Now, if there were multiple 4 stars on rate up at once, then the overall rate up to get one of them would be higher. But then to get the one you want would be lower. That makes sense. It's a bit trippy. Okay, we're close to the bonus summon. Still hoping for more copies of Ku, or please Arsico. Bugger all. Jekyll and Hyde. Oh, we're getting some mana prisms. So we'll do this and then we'll start doing the Saint Quartz rolls. I believe to get the 4 stars is a slightly better chance with these kind of rolls, whereas with solo rolls it's again, it's minuscule if there is a difference at all. But I need to look up that video sometime. Okay, have one of those CEs. If you want to talk about the big raid up nightmare, 3-star raid ups. Okay, Ku. Ah, it's Hector. Bugger. Hector's a solid AoE Lancer if you need one for 3 stars. You can certainly, like, he'll do just fine for you. We hadn't gotten a copy of Hector before on this account. Huh. That surprises me. Okay, let's see how this goes. Ah, that's lovely. Imaginary elements, or imaginary number is what it is in JP. I'm not sure why they changed it from element to number. That is a lovely 60% starting NP craft essence. There we go, another Robin. That's NP4. Yeah, that's NP4. Just one more. And when it's MLB, so you get 5 copies of it, it becomes 75% starting NP. Alright. Hey, Spinal, look familiar? That's pretty funny. We get the King and then we get the Jester back to back. Come on, Arsico. Oh, come on! Wrong Hassan. You actually make me sad. You're joking. You're actually joking. You're pulling my leg. You're actually pulling my leg. Do you have any idea the odds of getting the same 4-star CE that's not rated up in the same 10 roll? That's asinine. Come on, another copy of Ku. Ah, Baldy. I'm so used to skipping these rolls before I started tinkering around with streaming. Well, the funny thing is, I don't know. Another Saver. That's no good. Another Caesar. But yeah, he and Bedivere are easily the best 3-star savers. Come on, Ku. This roll just... I can't be too disappointed because Imaginary Element is just... is very nice. And MP4 Robin. Seriously though. So yeah, just 60% starting NP. They did something very questionable recently in JP, where they actually removed this craft essence. This extremely useful craft essence. They removed it and put it in Story Banner. And It's a really baffling decision, honestly. Of all the complete garbage 4-star craft essences, of which there are a great deal, they take one of the absolute most useful for people and make it more difficult to get. It was a very weird decision. Okay, that's Berserker. Darius the Third. Day after. Nice art, but I can't remember what it actually does. Ah, the legendary Mapo Tofu. This is the craft essence roll right here. Nothing but craft essences really. Okay, here's a servant. Another archer. Okay, that's MP4 of David. Maybe MP5 actually. I really can't remember. That's a really pretty craft essence. Holy King of Twilight. Have I seen that one before? Oh, there we go, another copy of Camlin. So, again, the goal is to get 10 of those eventually. Camlin, because you want 2 MLB copies for when you want to do solo and shenanigans. What is this? Okay, that's a decent. It's mixed, unfortunately, stat-wise, but it's fairly decent. It's usable, we'll put it that way. You don't need a starting MP. Or a caster. Visibron. He seems to really like me on this account. I think this is at least MP3. And sorry mate, but I'm definitely not using any money on this account. In fact, like the only time I've used money on my main account is just once. Just so I could do a handful of GSSRs. Divine Banquet. That's another one that keeps coming. I think that's the 3rd copy of that one. Incidentally, with Imaginary Element, I definitely recommend not combining them as soon as you get a couple copies, just because you may make use out of... It may be handy to have 60% starting MP, as opposed to 50% or none at all, on multiple units. Oh, Hohenheim! Nice! Here's your other really good art support. He provides a 30% arts up for the entire team for 3 turns, and on one person he gives them a 50% MP gain up. Mephistopheles. Oh, that was our first copy of him on this account. Interesting. Lots of casters. Medea. I really wish they would fix her. So what they did with her, because she's like a day 1 unit, is they really botched her NP There's Billy the Kid. He's your other premier single target archer for 3 stars. But what it is she has a battery, a bit of it. Basically, she can instantly get her MP even if she's at 0%. Thanks to this. But DW were afraid because they were starting out and they were new and they didn't know. Again, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. So they gave her MP because they were like, oh no, she can spam her MP. We don't want that. Which is laughable when you think of the current situation of the game and how everything's MP spam. So what they did was, despite it being a single target MP, its damage scaling is the same as an AoE MP. So basically she hits like an actual wet noodle, even though it's an upgraded MP. So they need to pull like they did with Zerka Vlad and give her a second MP upgrade that fixes that scaling, because there's no bloody reason to have us against. And and the biggest thing that 1 to 3 star needs is an actual single target damage dealing caster. That is a big hole in the 1 to 3 star roster. That's why I said Lu Bu is basically your single target caster DPS, because he's all you got pretty much. That or like caster Kukulane, who's AoE, but he does solid damage, so he kind of works in that single target. However, even though she hits like a noodle, her MP is very useful because it clears all the buffs from whatever enemy she hits. So she's got buff removal, and buff removal is very important and also hard to come by for 1 to 3 star units. Okay, here's our last 10 roll. So, come on Asuko, come on Ku. I'm surprised. I really am surprised that craft essence has dropped for us so bloody much. Still with the casters. Shame. Oh, Geronimo. He's another unfortunate unit because he pretty much only has 1 skill, which is quite painful. Medusa. Medusa's a very solid AoE quick rider. She'll do well for you if you take a shine to her and level her. Now, there's also Alexander, who is well, he provides team support and enemy buff removal, which is very handy. So he's a bit better than her in that regard, but they're both really solid units. Come on, why is Ku so elusive? Good news is getting more sharp mat drops is going to be cake with all these summoning campaign Cs. Okay, another Ushi. We will take those. If only I could actually start ascending her properly. But we're so hard out for rider monuments. It's the big sad. That was probably the last roll, yeah. Oh, that was a first copy of Medusa. Interesting. Of course, material-wise, both Medusa and Alexander are quite rough. in that regard. Alexander's especially so because he needs a lot of the most common stuff. Medusa is actually made better thanks to the update that Global recently got, where they give each story chapter that you clear gives you some material rewards as on top of the Saint Quartz they give. But she still needs Void Dust, which is quite a thing. However, let's see, she needs 73 in total if you 10 her skills and fully ascended her, whereas Alexander needs let's see, that's 144. Bugger all. He needs 168 hero proofs. So he needs twice as many hero proofs as she needs Void Dust. So, yeah. I guess we'll go ahead and throw these last 4 tickets. Doesn't bloody matter. I doubt we'll get anything out of them, but you never know. So those potions he's really like us. Come on, Asuko, Ku. Come on, Asuko, Asuko. Ah, come on. Why though? I'm about to embrace the big sad. Okay, here's a last shot. Seems to, yes. And like our 10th copy of that, which isn't. Honestly, that's probably undershooting it. Well, the big hopes was some more copies of Ku and finally getting Asuko. Neither of those happened, so that's that could have went better, but we got in B5 David, which will actually be important when he gets his MP upgrade. And we got a 3rd copy of Ushi. Juices up her damage even more. B4 Serenity that we'll never use. Serenity's not terrible, actually, and she's recently gotten even more buffs. It's just... yeah, I'm going to just get rid of these if it's all the same to you. Okay. I already have MP5 Medea. Do I? I already had MP5 Medea. I surely didn't remember that. Oh, we already had Alexander. Didn't remember that either. Seem to forget a lot of things. And obviously I'm not going to raise Caesar and bother with these. So, could turn them into mana prisms, but I'm instead going to feed them to Ku, which is who any of them should have been. It could have been something. It could have been a Ku tender. keep the evasive on, just in case. Use it for the MP upgrade. Well, we'll get you to 70 eventually. Hopefully. Yeah, she has them. Alright, I'm just about to wrap up this stream anyway. We don't have any more summons to do. And get back to the grind. The BC Brawn can be a fairly solid caster unit for you. The thing about him is he gets insane value if you have a very specific craft essence that is unfortunately already gone. It's no longer available, or at least it's not returned in Japan yet. So, which is Poster Girl, which adds taunt to a 3-turn taunt to whoever it's equipped with. Because basically he's got one skill that does some very nice things to your party members when he dies. So by taunting, he gets the enemy to, well, kill him consistently. I actually somehow snagged a copy of that, funnily enough. So I have a copy of it on my main. And yeah, it's very useful. They really need to come up with more craft essences that add taunt to units. It's a very valuable thing to have access to. Well, luckily, Qingong here can give a 1-turn taunt. It's a targetable 1-turn taunt to an ally. So he's kind of like a mini Poster Girl now that he's out. So that does help a lot. And he's, frankly, really good buster support. Especially for Berserkers. But alright, I think that about wraps up this stream. Oh, to recap, your starting servants are really bloody good. Both Martha and Helena are both really good units. Martha can do a lot of her damage is solid. She's got a great deal of team support and buff removal and lots of heals. Just a beautiful unit. And then Helena, well, that's up to you. If you like, have your heart set on one of the starting units. Here, I will pull up what is available in the starting roles. So, I mean, you even luck sacked and got a 5-star, mate. That's now. I don't personally know if Vlad's any better than he used to be at this point, but wait, no, starting summon. Yeah, I will just I'll send you a screenshot. Over Discord. All of these servants are in the updated starter tutorial role pool. So when it comes to re-rolling, that's what you have to. You're guaranteed to get at least one of them, and you got 2 of them, which is nice. I ended up with 2 of them as well on this account, which is the fairest. Honestly, after the renewal, there's not a bad unit on the list. Now, Steno is the most niche, I would say, because she's a support for units that have divinity. And so she's better in more established accounts where you might have access to more units that have divinity. Carmilla is a big damage single target assassin who also does asinine loads of damage against female enemies. Heracles, well, if you've been watching my streams, I told you about Heracles. Basically, you get his Bondcraft essence when he gets to Bond 10, which admittedly does take some work. You just have to keep forcing him in your party until it happens. And then he just doesn't die. And just keeps pumping out. Moderate damage each turn, about medium level damage each turn, for a lot of turns. Helena is a primary DPS, AOE caster DPS, which is very lovely. That has some good team utility as well. Nursery Rhyme, the beloved book, is very solid. She basically NPs and then crits and then gets her NP back. Is sort of her loop. Martha, already told you about, really good AoE buster, rider damage, as well as lots of team support, healing, debuff removal, just beautiful kit. Marie is similar in that, except she's even more supportive. So both of those are quite solid when it comes to that. Parvati is one of the best AoE launchers in the game. Period. She's pretty insane. She can loop her MP pretty quickly, despite being quick. Elizabeth is an OK AoE buster lancer that, sort of similar to Stenar, has a bit of a niche party support where she double buffs female allies besides herself. So instead of giving them a 20% attack up for 3 turns, it's a 40% attack up for 3 turns. So if you like using the ladies, then she's a handy unit to have. Atalanta is a very good AoE quick archer. She makes a lot of stars, sets up a good crit turn. Now, one of her negatives that people will always point out, or that people will say about her, is, oh, but her MP gain's pretty dreadful, so it takes a bit to get her MP back after you use it. But here's the thing, that's where her crit setup is. Oh, that's where all the crit stars she makes goes. Her MP gain is actually really good if you've actually leveled her bloody skills like you ought to be doing. And basically you want to have used her evade to get her MP gen buff, because it's a 50% MP gen buff for 3 turns. That is substantial. And then she's got a large star absorb that will guarantee her crits if you have any decent amount of stars. So she just again, it's MP crit, get your MP back, MP crit sort of system. Those are always solid units. And she also doubles as a general quick support for your team, because after you upgrade her fair skill, she gives the entire team a 50% quick up for 1 turn, which is equivalent or stronger than the buffs that Mozart and Shakespeare and Chen give their individual card types. And Mia is an interesting unit because he is an AoE Buster / Arts Archer. His I don't think that he's gotten the strength in yet, but in the future he gets another buff to his third skill that will let you switch your MP's card type from Arth between Arts and Buster. Basically, he's a similar unit. MP, crit, yada yada. Suzuka is a very solid AoE Buster. Saber. She has fairly recently gotten an upgrade to her MP, which made her a really solid unit, because now her MP does proper damage, and she generates a lot of crits. She's another Buster crit unit. So she does really good single target damage because of her Buster crits, and she does good AoE damage when she gets her MP upgrade. She also has 3 turns of Sure Hit and MP Battery. So she's a very stout unit that's only going to improve as she still has an upgrade coming. And then Siegfried. Siegfried is an AoE Buster Saber as well that deals bonus damage to dragon enemies. Which can be pretty niche. However, he makes a sort of a fun, cheesy combo with St. George, who is another unit that you should probably... well, you want one copy of him to level, that's MP5, and then a copy that you stick and keep it MP1, or level 1 rather. Because his MP will turn an enemy that it hits into a dragon for 3 turns. So basically you use his MP to turn an enemy into a dragon, and then Siegfried wrecks them with all the bonus damage he does. So yeah, personally I feel like the weakest two on this list is Siegfried and Steno. But neither of those are bad, they're just they take a bit more work to use than the others, which are more self-sufficient or team support oriented. Yeah, but yeah, hopefully any of that made sense. But okay, I think that'll just about do it. I think I've done enough yapping for this short stream. It turned into a medium stream. Again, if you have a question about a unit, just ask, and I'll attempt to. I'll tell you all I know if I know anything about them. Unfortunately, I'm certainly not an expert. Pretty much free-to-play player over here, so I obviously don't have been able to use most units in the game, but a decent bit of them. But alright, that's been the stream, that's been our decent rolls. We didn't get the servants we wanted, but we got some good craft essences. Yeah, definitely can take some. Definitely takes a bit of time to get your head around everything. Just definitely though, be sure to feel free to take it slower and focus on smaller amount of units at first. I would basically key in on one unit for some key classes to level it to start with, just to get your feet out under you. Because if you try to level too many units at once, or too many gold units at once as well, that's when you start getting into trouble really quick, and then you just hit a wall and you're not going anywhere because you're completely out of QP. You just don't have any resources. Luckily, you should have access to the Spatial Ascension. I do need to tell you about that because it does have a time limit. Now it's 90 days from the day your account was created, but now this one's already been used, but it would be around here somewhere in the shop. And basically what it is it will level one of your units from whatever level they are, hopefully 1 for the most value, and it will fully ascend them, so they will go to their final ascension and be at whatever level they are at minimum of being that ascension. So for a 4-star unit, and I used mine on Heracles for example, so it fully ascended him at no cost and no mats, and he was at level 70 out of 80. Now for a 5-star unit, like Sidonai here, she would have went fully ascended, so 4 ascension, and be at level 80 out of 90. So biggest bang for your buck is using it on a 5-star. However, the most important thing is it's a very vital unit that you'll get a lot of use out of. One that's pretty flexible. Like Heracles, for example, especially once he gets his Bonsi, you throw him into any fight pretty much, and he'll be good for most, if not all, of the bosses' health bar by himself. Kukulain's a similar unit actually, whereas that you pop them as the last man standing in your party, and then if all the other team dies, they can clean up and do the rest, most likely. Unless you really had some poor luck with your team and ended up not doing any bloody damage. How many of these do we end up with? Well, we 7. So we got 7 of these. I knew we'd be in the vicinity of 10. And we got... I'm surprised that we only got 3 copies of the 2 new copies of the 4-star one, because those are much more common than the 5-star ones. And of course we got a lot of these. Can we MLB yet? Oh, we can. I don't know if it would be better. I'll just hold off for now. Well, good news is we should be able to clean out the currency shop pretty easily. But it is a shame about no coup or Sakura though. We definitely want to lock these. What's this one do? Oh, a debuff resist. think we might. What's the Eva even level? Not sure. I have to give it a thought. But okay. So that's been our little adventure here. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.